Hello, this is Rich with breathingwiththemarkets.com. I'm here with one of the mentees, Joe. And Joe, if you can just give your name and tell us a little bit about yourself and your trading, and we'll go from there.
I don't know what to say. I've traded off and on for many years. I did do different things over the years. More of a hobby, just kind of dabbling with it every so often. Recently retired in the last few years and trying to trade more often. And I came across Rich, got to know him, actually went out and visited him at his home, or not at his home, but in his hometown. And got to know him that way and decided this about a week or so ago to begin a mentee, to have him as my mentor to help me teach his ed because he really seems to know what he's doing.
And when did you first start trading, Joe?
Well, I traded actually probably near the same time you did, back in the late 90s, early
Oh,
2000s. I traded for a while back then, trading stocks, made some money, lost some money, got to the point in my life where I was going kind of through a divorce. So I got away from trading for, I would say, over a decade, for a long time, just a lot of things going on in my life. And then I casually got back into Forex about a while 10 years ago, but I pretty much stayed with demo, figured I'd trade demo until I could figure out what I was doing. And I would trade for a while, not trade for a while, mostly just as a hobby, just as a secondary thing on the side, trying to figure stuff out. But probably never spent, a dedicated amount of time really trying to figure out the market as far as getting education and that type of stuff, just trying to figure it out on my own.
so back in the day when you first started, were you more of an investor holding overnight, knowing what you know today as far as whether you're trying to scalp or whether you're investing? Usually swing traders that hold overnight become investors. So what style back in the 90s?
I was probably more find a good stock. I mean, I learned about technical analysis, patterns, whatnot, candlesticks, and all that kind of stuff. And I would try to trade a little bit, but mostly it was find a good company that I thought was going to go up, and I'd buy that. So it's probably more from an investor standpoint.
And then what did you do in Forex? What brought you to the Forex market?
Just friends, just people I knew from work. They were doing it, so I decided to look into it, and that's kind of got me started looking into doing Forex, and but mostly just people I associated with at work. It's something they were doing.
And how did you do it in Forex?
How did I do it in Forex? It was more from a long-term standpoint, more on the daily 4 hour type charts where I would trade and sometimes hold for a few days and sometimes get stopped out overnight
Mhm.
after one day. And then sometimes probably more stopping out than I'd like. And then, but then there would be times you'd have to hold on to it for several weeks.
And what type of strategy were you using in Forex or most recently prior to coming on board with Breathing with the Markets? What type of strategy
Well,
would you?
I was I got into where I was looking at zone trading where you trade looking for different support and resistance areas in the market and try to trade off of those was probably the most thing that I would be doing. Find a trend and try to trade the trend based on where it was going and use support and resistance to determine where I bought and sold.
So since you've started your mentorship recently with us, how was that after your first couple of days? If you can describe in your own words based on your past versus where you are today and how those first 2 days were for you. How would you describe that for the traders out there?
It it opened up kind of a window, I think, is for me, to see the market in a different way, to see what I've already been looking at for years and years and years, but trying because I always try to figure out I got to make sense out of all this stuff. What if there's things in here that should tell me what I should do? And from the get-go with Rich, as you started peeling back the onion and why you look at the market the way you do, which is it allowed me to be able to see things in a way that the market does tell you where it's going, and you can see that. And there's prime places and prime points in the market where if you're looking at the right time at the right place, you can find good, high quality trades, and you don't have to be subject to the whims of the market necessarily as much as what I was in the past. That there's specific places to look for and things that to initiate a trade because and when you first start trading, you don't know, you're just guessing. And also, I think you defined what gambling is, even though I didn't feel like I was gambling, you define it in such a way that most people are gambling. And when you start looking at the way you're teaching me to trade, it's a different, I can see where that's not where I can see where I was gambling in the past where this is not. This is pure trading.
Okay. How do you feel about that, peer trading in your own words? Can you tell us what that looks like when you're talking about pure trading within your own words versus the gambling mentality or
Well, Well, I guess for me, it's the gambling mentality was from the standpoint of you put in a trade and all you're doing is hoping. And as I've watched you trade and as I've watched you show me what to do, it's more from the standpoint it's you're able to pinpoint places in the market that allows you to have a high probability of being successful. And once I start seeing that, and as you teach me, as I'm going through the back test and looking at still charts and stuff like that, it allows me to be able to just see the market in a different way. I approach it totally differently, and I'm not as anxious or worried, and it's I don't know, it's just a total different mentality, different feeling, I guess. You just feel a calmness with what you're doing.
yeah, me being a gap trader in a fade trader mentality, which is contrarian to most. I do teach and I do preach that we don't follow the herd and we look for the highest probability trades to basically do opposite of what 95% of the other people are doing at that time. Um, and where that percentage comes from is the lack of profitability in traders themselves. If 95% of the traders are doing the same thing, then why aren't that 95% profitable and the other 5% not profitable? But if you look back and I use words like objective. Do you know, are you basically learning where you're at in the market and you see things that I point out like gems in the market that are clearly objective and without an opinion? Have your opinions about the market, is that starting to fade and go away? Because I explain that FOMO and anxiety comes from a lack of knowledge in the market. How do you feel about that?
I think it comes from a lack of knowledge, but also comes from inexperience. I think I felt that all the time. You felt like when early on, when you missed a trade, you thought, "Oh no, I missed that trade. There's not going to be another trade as good as that one. I can't believe I did that." Or I got out too early, or I could have, would have, should have. And I really don't have that anymore. It's just the market's going to do what the market's going to do, and you got to have to learn how to just live with that, and then you just sit back and wait for the opportunities. It changes the way you see the market. You just know that especially trading in the time frames that we do. It's based. You know that there's another opportunity right around the corner, and so don't worry about it. And there's plenty of time opportunities, and so you can just sit back and relax. The next one's going to come along, and you take advantage of it.
Well, I'll give an example like yesterday. I'm pretty transparent about trading, although I don't trade with the mentees per se. Calling out trades and
Right.
things of that nature. I want the mentees to find the trades themselves. But for example, yesterday, and you're beginning and learning how to follow the market on a daily basis in a methodical approach and get to a robotic approach where you're not thinking, your mind is retaining all of this information in your head. And when this trade happens, with the highest probability, you enter that trade. And yesterday, did I give you some examples timestamp examples? Can you explain
Yeah,
to
sorry, I feel like I forgot to turn the light on out here.
Oh,
Maybe it
no
looks a
problem.
little bit better.
Hey, there you are. Can you explain for the traders, basically the transparency that I have?
There's been
Showing you.
actually the last couple times this week we've you shared with me. I'd actually looked at the market already, and one day I saw that the market had taken off on news, and I had drawn up the chart, showed the things that you've been saying. So I wanted to send you what I saw to see if reflected on what you had been teaching, and at the same time, you said I missed on that opportunity. You drew it up good. He goes, but you did well later in that day. But then yesterday, you kind of stepped me through the process of happened to both be online at the same time, and I saw different screenshots of the setup that you're looking for and your purchases and what you got out, and you showed that to me. I don't know, I was probably about a half a dozen, maybe was it about a half a dozen different screenshots of as the trade progressed through yesterday morning, or I
Hmm.
guess it was yesterday, yeah, early. For me, it was mid morning, I guess.
What did that do to your mindset?
Well, for my mindset, it just kind of reconfirmed the things you've been teaching me over this last week. That it's like you said, it's once you figure it out, it's actually pretty simple. And as you go through that process, you can see that it really is. It's just you wait for the opportunities to come along, and it's just as simple as that. And then the market will tell you when it's time to get in.
And would you say that it's almost as if times that we're basically I'm showing you that we're calling the next candle out?
Oh, well, yeah, and we've done stuff like that too, where you actually said there was one time you were saying, I'm looking for this to get to this point, and this is why, because you explained to me why you're looking for it to get to that point. And initially, you're more like, oh, it doesn't look like it's going to do that, and next thing you know, boom, 15 minutes later, it was there, and you were in and out of the trade.
Very
So,
good. So you had mentioned back testing. We don't I don't teach back testing. I know what you were saying, but
yeah,
I don't
I'm
teach
using
back testing.
generic terms, but yeah,
Yeah, but I teach a still chart.
right.
How are you coming along on the still chart? And a big reason why we do these videos is because traders will have a baseline, and when a trader goes ahead and does a video, it kind of sets the baseline of their communication, where they're at, how they're seeing the market at this time, and they can go back and review the tape, which is therapy, trader
Right.
therapy. But in the same sense, it also helps other traders to recognize that, hey, they're not alone, Do I only feel this way? But in reality, when you hear other traders speak, and I appreciate your time and giving to the community, because that's what I'm about, is to give out to the community, and then traders can hear themselves or actually see that they're not alone and they're actually thinking the same thing you are, but they don't realize it because they don't have anyone else to hear from. So I appreciate your time and where you're at. So I'll let you go ahead and talk about the still charts.
Oh, the still charge, yeah. You said I use old terms to describe things that because Rich generally teaches things like he'll take something and this is what it's taught out in the world, but this is what it really means. And usually it's the opposite of what they've been teaching you out there in the world. And so when I say back testing, I'm not back testing like everybody else. I'm back testing by looking at still charts, so we can call it something else. But when I look in the backwards and I start looking
In the history.
at the history of what's going on, and you can see as the market begins to turn, and what makes up a turn in the market, and when that opportunity comes along, you begin to see it over and over and over again, how the market moves, how it transitions from one phase to other phases, and once you do that, you just see it repeats itself over and over and over, and those opportunities are there. It doesn't matter whether you're on the daily chart or you're on a minute chart or even 30-second chart. The patterns are there. The opportunities are there to trade the market, and it just really, just like you said, like you've told me, like I like to sit down and just trade the market, or not trade it, but look back and look at my still chart, and it'll let me know that that is an important thing to do over and over and over again, so that when you get to where you are trading for real, these things will pop off. They will just show up, and you'll see it more readily, and you'll have more confidence to take that trade.
Now, I use the term a lot of times. I use the thing to describe is that it's like going to a park and seeing a friend that you know. You immediately readily identify a friend or a family member that you didn't know that was going there. And are you starting to see gems in the market that I've showed you? Are you practicing going back in history, finding those, marking those, and
Yes.
repeating that as often
Yeah.
as you can.
I'll take a chart and go as far back as I can and work my way all the way as far forward as I can, and you can see it repeat itself. It happens almost every time that we look for what we're looking for. These opportunities, the things that you teach us to look for, pop out literally every time the market turns, or every time the every time it moves in one direction. When the market does a certain thing, you taught me why it's doing that, and you can see it. It happens over and over and over again,
Does it matter the time frame?
and it doesn't. And it I've looked at different time frames, and it doesn't really matter the time frames. It
How
doesn't
many
happen
how
every
many
time, but it happens the majority of the time. So.
how many different pairs or things that you never thought you would trade have you checked just to make
Well,
sure?
I've once you told me to just start looking at charts. I've really, and I'm a busy guy, so I haven't really gone off. Like I remember another mentee that you were talking to, how he's looked at all kinds of different things. I haven't really got to the point where I've done that yet, because I want to specifically learn the market. I want to trade, and that's what I've been focusing on. I try to get focused on that. I know this works. I looked at different pairs. I've looked at four futures, a few of those, most of the indices, and no matter where I look, I see it. And
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
so after learning and you're continuing to learn, we're going to continue the mentorship also
yeah,
because we have a lot more to discuss.
right.
But if I always talk about manipulation. I always talk about algorithms. We didn't write the program, someone did. And it's really hard to explain when somebody doesn't see the market like I teach, like really navigating through the market. And then you can really see that, wow, it's, why does it repeat itself? News, I tell traders all the time that news and it just speeds up the direction of travel basically if you have it speeds up the direction of travel um, in the direction it intended to in the first place, and a lot of people don't understand that. They're scared of news and stuff, but are you at the open and you do your analysis of the market prior to open, do you confirm that to be true, that the market does take off in the direction it intended to based
Well,
on what I'm teaching you?
based on what you're teaching me now, in the past, I'm like, it was no rhyme or reason to me why things were happening the way they were. But since we've started the mentorship, I've been every morning I'll look to see either at the time that it happens, or I'll go back and look at the open of the market to see what happened. If I can anticipate what Rich has been teaching me, what's been going on, and inevitably it happens pretty much every time. I don't to say 100%, but it happens so much that you're just like, oh my gosh, it just almost mind boggling that you see it happen so often, and it's becoming. I'm not saying that it's there yet, but it's. I have more confidence and more belief in that I will be able to develop the talent or the ability to be able to trade in a way that will be that I can become a successful trader because of what I see. And I see it in the morning. You see the morning when it sets up, looks like it's doing one thing, and it's like, nope, that's not. It's going to be doing this, and then that's what you taught me. And I go look at them. Sure enough, that's what happens, and it happens over and over and over again.
Kind of makes you crazy, huh?
What one thing I have done is I went back and looked at most openings. I just keep going back in history and look at every opening, and then it comes more because I've only been doing the mentorship for a little over a week. We're about halfway through it, and so I will look back at other openings to see how it shaped, how that day did and how this day did. And once I do that, that's where I begin to see that it just happens over and over and over.
And are you starting to see the manipulation in the market prior to that, where the market will go the opposite direction, and it really has no intentions of
It's
continuing?
it's
Are you
very
starting to see
interesting
the
to see the
manipulation?
time that where the market will like uh, act like it's going to do one thing, but it does another, and how the market like you said, is manipulated, and that it's algorithms and there's other things that go into this, and they're all designed to catch the regular retail traders so that they'll think it's doing one thing and they'll take advantage of them thinking, oh man, it's going in this direction. So everybody load up on going in this direction when the market actually was intended to go the other direction all along. And what you teach is to look at it kind of more of in a contrarian way of looking at it, I guess is a word you can use. But I really don't like using those any terms that I've heard out there for years because everything you teach is contrarian in a sense. But it just shows up and it's easy to see and it's very interesting to see how much the market moves in such a way to take advantage of people that don't know what they're doing, which was used to be me.
Well, even indicators per se. I am what we teach is different than the norm out there.
Right.
So and if we follow the herd and we follow all of this different education, I'm sure you've had education. Have you purchased any education in the past?
I have. I took a course. I've actually had two other courses before I had you as a mentorship. And the second course that I took is where actually on their chat site is where actually I met you. But I have taken other courses. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you
Well,
finish.
they just basically teach the same stuff that you hear out there. I don't know. It's pretty much generic stuff.
So it's nothing of what I taught you.
In fact, I mean, if you want, I can talk to you. I saw Rich in a video explaining um, more from a long-term way of looking at the market. I saw you on a video. That video is no longer on the internet. I saw that from the things that the little few gems that you put out there resonated with me in such a way that because all the time I've spent on the charts, everything that I've learned, just a few things that you said in that video resonated with me to the point to where I finally got to where I was consistently doing a lot better in my trading based on the few little nuggets that you gave, and that was over a period of 6 months that I grew a demo account by 75%.
Mhm. Mhm.
I didn't have everything that I needed. That's the problem. I didn't have everything, and I still got caught up in some gambling situations and things where the market wasn't going my way and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to roll out of these. And I ended up getting stuck and I ended up giving back part of that. And that's what led me to say, I need to further my education. But I know the only person I know that's taught me anything that's helped me has been you. And so that's why I want to do the mentorship with you.
And this is a hobby for me, and it's a passion. And this is I'll say this 100 times, a skill first channel because I truly believe that a skill can be taught. Gambling cannot be taught because that's just pushing a button and hoping and praying. Unfortunately, when you have a skill, and correct me if I'm wrong, we can say anything we want on here, but if I teach someone how to ride a bike, eventually they're going to be their best. They might not be a BMX racer or a motorcycle, racing
Mm-hmm.
person. But we get to a skill level, and a lot of people say, "Hey, I wish I could trade like you, or I wish I could do this." But in reality, if they become their best with the tools that I provided each and every day, they're going to get better. So
Yeah.
all of the gems and the things, how I taught you how to navigate through the market, could you ever see, and this is a loaded question, but think about this logically, could you ever see that you like regress versus, continue to move forward to success? How do you see that with the items that I've showed you and how I
Um, well, see, that's an interesting question because I've had different strategies that I've tried, and there's a part of me that's always felt like I've screwed them all up. One of my biggest fears I have is screwing up what you're teaching because what you teach, I feel like is where this is what I've been looking for a long time, and I don't want to mess it up. Now, I think the tools that you've given me is the roadmap that I need to get to where I can be profitable and be successful. And like you said, the skill you only get better with practice. You only get better as the more you work at it, and the more you get on the right track. Then I think your mind will start. My mind or anybody's mind will start working in a way to where they can like you said, make it their own. But it's the foundation that you give that allows somebody to be able to become their own and figure out where this is going to lead them in their journey as a trader. But I think no matter what that is, it's going to lead you to success because I see the market now differently, where I don't think I could unsee it. I can't see the market any differently. Things from the past I need to get rid of, or they're slowly I'm getting rid of those that mindset that I have because the things that you teach, when I see it over and over again, they're getting solidified in my brain. And the analogy that I use in my own life is that I was older in age. I decided I wanted to play the guitar and sing a few songs. So I did that. And next thing you know, I play four or five. I have a trio that I play in, and I'm a lead singer. And I go out and play, 3 or 4 times a month playing, doing that. Now, am I on the big stage? No, but my amount, I've gone a lot further than I thought I would by just hard work, putting the time in and being dedicated to my craft. Am I the best guitarist in the world? Nope. Am I the best singer in the world? Nope. But I have passion in what I do, and people seem to resonate with that. We enjoy it. And it's fun. It brings joy into my life, whatever level that is. And I see the same thing with trading. There are going to be traders that are going to be better than me, and that's okay. I just want to be on the right track.
Build a skill.
Right, right, right.
So if we're looking at the market at the same time, I got a
Mm-hmm.
couple thoughts. If we're looking at the market at the same time, around the same time, say the open, we're going to see the same things. We might not be looking at the same candle at the same time in the same area of the chart, but overall, we are going to see the chart the same. And we know over time what the market is going to do. So with that analogy, if I, for example, if you show me your trade, if you say, "Hey, Rich, I lost a trade today," and we're not there yet, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you have or have not or whatever. We're not
Right.
there. But if you tell me, "Hey, Rich, I lost a trade and this doesn't seem to work." Well, someone that's taken tens of thousands of trades and over and over again, and I do this daily. So when I trade and what I'm teaching you and teaching the other mentees is what I actually use in the market. And I've shown you that, right? I've shown you my trades.
Right.
You've seen me. You actually, I bought two, this was funny.
Challenges.
Yeah, I bought two challenges, and I said, "Oh, I'll just buy a challenge. I'll just show you what the pips or the ticks and the volume of it." Because you had some legitimate questions of, "Hey, how far does it have to go?" So I don't know if you probably remember, but
Yep.
you want to go ahead and explain that?
Well, we were going through we were in the middle of a training, and the market all of a sudden opened up. It was a Sunday afternoon, and you're like, "No, we shouldn't trade Sunday afternoon." But he's like, "Oh my gosh!" But I see this so that you quickly bought a couple of challenges so that you could trade with the prop firm that you use,
Mhm.
and so then you proceeded to trade the market. And
Mhm.
so it was a very unique experience to see what you were doing. And initially, because it was like it's not at a time where the market's moving really well, that you thought, oh, maybe it wasn't a good idea. But ultimately, it panned out to where you were successful in the trades that you put in.
So two of them, I think, made around $500 a piece, and the market actually dumped. But during those times, I think it was like seven, or I forget what time it was, but it's very slow. So the
Right.
market, I tell the mentees that you need some push behind the market. You need volume. You need on the market. You need it's open. Right when the store opens, you have a big crowd, and then people phase out over the day. Around lunchtime, they phase out. But that's the main thing is that when you have an objective strategy in the market, time is also valuable, and how we spend our time is valuable, and how we spend our time in the market is also valuable. So having an objective strategy in the market, the strategy will not take as long on the higher probability trades, for example, at the open, or maybe the close, or maybe midday news. If the FOMC has news at 12 o'clock, that could push the market. So we look for those things too. But trading the news is not something that is scary. It just means that the market's going to move fast, and if you know how to navigate through the market, you will be on the right side of the market. Now it can fake out, that's fine. But more than likely, with a high probability, it's going to go in the direction it intended to in the first place. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, Friday, I just found it very interesting about Friday that at 6:30 in the morning was building permits. And I traded well and I got out with about $1,700 really quick with five different accounts and I trade them individually. But what's unique about that was is the market's already going up. And the information on building and the other building permits and housing starts or whatever, I forget what exactly it was, but I knew it had to do something with building. It almost appeared that the information was already out to some, but not for all of us. And that's where it gives me pause. And that's what made me analyze the market differently a long time ago. As the market sometimes is going already in the direction of the news that is coming out.
Hmm.
So, and it's not like buyers and sellers are coming in the market. The market's just moving, but it just seemed like a whole lot of people would have to know what the type of news was coming out for the market to do that. And
Right.
that's why I have analyzed the market over and over and over and over again. And the market does repeat itself. And we don't use like Elliott Wave and all of these things or reading a book. You know, my mentorship with you, I'm available for you in your own words. How often am I available for you? Or do I answer your questions
Yeah, I
as
mean,
far
if
as
I have a
being a
question
support?
or even even before the mentorship, because I've known Rich for probably coming up on a year now since I first talked to him, and then actually visited him in his hometown about 9 months ago. Even since then, you and I have had dialogue off and on. Anytime I had a question, and sometimes I would push too far, and you say, "Well, that gets into where I can't answer those questions because you're not our mentee."
Yeah.
But and I'm just trying to get information. But you, even back then, you were very accessible and answered all my questions then, and you're even more so now. As far as if you're out there and I put a question out there and you're online, you're generally going to get to it and you're going to answer it.
Mhm.
And sometimes it leads to a good discussion about things.
Well, not only, and I've even, and you know this, and all of the mentees are considered friends, family,
Right.
trading family, and then I'm a mentor. So I do give constructive criticism, and I want the best for all of the mentees. So for me to want the best for all of the mentees is not telling the mentees exactly what they want to hear,
Right.
because go
I
ahead.
think that's something that should be stated from my perspective is that I do feel like you're somebody who genuinely wants people to succeed. You genuinely want people to be able to develop this skill. You genuinely want people to know what it is that you're doing and to help people to become successful in this market from the standpoint of that you know, if I have questions or I sound like I might be struggling with some concept, you're very supportive. You're very supportive. Let me, hey, you'll figure this out. You're gonna get this. I'm gonna be here until you get this. And or you send little things to just be positive, positive little reassurances to keep going, to keep, you know. And I appreciate that. I really have this sense of who you are as a person, and you're just a genuinely good person who really wants people to succeed.
And that's important for me is that all of the mentees succeed. And I know that's a high bar to set, and there's disclaimers, and that not everyone might
No,
not
yeah,
accept.
no.
But I believe truly deep inside that if I show someone and give them a roadmap
Hmm.
on how to get from my friend's house to the other friend's house over a period of time, they're not going to need that roadmap anymore. They're going to get in the car and they're going to drive on autopilot. So trading is not any different. And correct me if I'm wrong. Your background, and I always talk about your background, but it's up to you whether or not you want to explain to them what you did. But
Hmm.
I highly respect what your
Well,
career.
actually, what had just popped into my mind because in my employment for close to 30 years, I did a lot of training and mentoring. So I've been on the side that you're on as from a trader ten standpoint. I was an air traffic controller, worked at an air traffic control for about 30 years. And I've trained people, and I always thought, hey, I can teach anybody how to do this. And I was pretty much successful with everybody that I taught, except for one. He worked very hard, and he's still a controller, but wasn't able to work the traffic at the busy facility that I worked at. He had to go to a place that was a little bit slower, but he's still a controller. So he still was successful as a controller, but he only had one that didn't pass the program that I was teaching that we taught where we were at. But air traffic control is very difficult in that learning how to do it is the most difficult thing to do. Once you learn that skill, then you see it differently. You see that, oh, this is doable. I can do this. When I first got there, you look at the scope and you look at this all these planes and everything going on, and tons of there's shout lines, there's people talking in your ear, there's all kinds of distractions, all kinds of things going on around you, people talking to planes, and to be able to think that I can figure out how to do this, I was like, there is no way I'm going to be able to do this, but I figured out how to do it, and once you do, you learn this concept of a mentorship and being taught and being brought along is what Rich is doing here with trading. Is I understand that process and I'm respectful of that process. And being a mentee, I want Rich to be hard on me. I want him to say, "Hey, this is wrong. This is the way you're supposed to do it," because I don't want to come across like I know everything. I know a lot of stuff about the market. I know a lot of ins and outs, but obviously I haven't been as successful. I respect the fact that Rich has been successful, and I want to get that information from him. And so I am, in a way, have to humble myself at my age, the things that I've been able to do in my life
Yes.
as successes.
Yeah.
But I've learned that there is a process for that. And whether it was playing the guitar, learning to be air traffic controller, whatever it is that I do, you have to be willing and open to learn and take instruction. And when you do that, that's when you can open up the window to be able to actually change your way of seeing things. And therefore that's what opens up the ground of fertile ground so that you can grow in whatever environment you want to grow in.
Well, what's important to me is, and I've said this, I may have said this on a video, a couple videos or not, but I always talk about it with the mentees is mental visualization and training
Mm-hmm.
of the brain, and that is most effective on steel charts. Why in the hell that people teach on demo charts or back testing or forward testing during the market hours and stuff like that? First of all, during the market hours, it's not that long anyways, and I believe traders are wasting their time because they're not able to retain much in a moving market. But once again, if you don't know what you're looking for and you don't know what you're training for, that's not probably going to help you either if you're following a gambler or you're following someone that has just made up a 10-minute strategy. Now, when we had our mentorship on the first day and the second day, I don't know, remember if you remember, well, I mean, I don't know if you remember how long I talked, but I didn't just have a 15-minute spiel on navigating through the market. How would you describe that?
You're talking about the first time that we had our first session of a mentorship?
Yeah, first 2 days.
Well, yeah, the first 2 days, the first day was a solid 5 hours, and that we went over different things and why you look at the market in a different way. And you gave me a lot of examples and you gave a lot of analogies to try to help us as a mentee to understand why it is you look at the market the way you do. And because initially, if I came in here thinking that I knew a lot of stuff about the market, I might balk at a lot of stuff that you said because some of the things that you talk about are opposite of what I've heard over the last 20, 30 years of trading. And but you give good analogies to help me understand why you look at it differently and how that has shaped your trading style that allows you to be as successful as you are. But you definitely, I mean, the first two sessions, it's usually about 5 hours each time. You take a deep dive into all that stuff. It really begins to peel back the onion and be able to see things in a different way.
And not only that, speaking the entire time, I'm actually showing you and identifying, right? I'm
Yeah.
not, I mean, how do you feel about that? Is not only am I showing you, do I ever go, like pick a pair, pick a time frame, and without getting into the edge part of it, but do I show you, how would you explain that? How do you,
No, you give examples. It doesn't that. we pull up different pairs, we pull up the futures and the indices and different stuff like that, and we'll go back and look at it. And it may be a short term, maybe a little longer term. You show give examples as to it works on this time frame, it works on this time frame, and then we'll go back randomly to a certain area. And some people might say that's cherry picking, but I think visualization and looking at it, what you're showing randomly is just to show that this happens over and over and over again. It's not like we have one setup. It's setup after setup after setup after setup after setup. And you can look at it here and you can say, oh, here's an example of this. Oh, here's an example of that. Here, and it's like it's just all over the market, all over the chart that we're happen to be looking at. And then we'll change another one and you'll point out all those things. And you teach how to, first, this is the first thing you do. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for what's been going on in the market. And then we just begin to build our strategy. Then we start looking for certain things that happen in the market that allow us to, have confidence to go ahead and step into the market at those times. And you repeatedly show different time frames and different indices, different pairs, how this happens over and over again.
And conditions we need to get into the market.
Yeah, exactly.
Ability. So, and that's the more thing. So, so at that point, with all those conditions in place, is that guessing or is that hoping and praying?
No, it takes
an objective approach.
Right. It takes the guesswork out of it. We're looking for very specific things that happen in the market. And when those things happen, we're looking to either go long or short. And then once we do that, or let's say we look in the market and the market hasn't set up yet. We got to wait. It's time. So we wait until the market, like you said, breathing with the markets. The market is exhaling. We got to wait for it to change. And then as we see that it's beginning to exhale or inhale, after it exhaled, then it's time to, now it's time to start looking for opportunities.
And I taught you about contraction and expansion.
Right.
Start to visualize what I'm explaining, right? Where we're in the contraction phase and expansion phase.
Right. And when we get in the market, based on that breathing in and out, the contraction phase of it.
So I don't know how often you're looking at charts. Everyone has their own schedule and they're busy and doing different things. But each and every day, so you say you open up a chart today or you open up a chart tomorrow, are you going to readily identify gems in the market that I taught you, or are you going to have to really look? Are you getting to a point where you're seeing some of the gems in the market immediately?
Yeah, once you show me, it becomes, and you start drawing, they just start popping off everywhere. You can see where they're at everywhere in the market. And then boom. What I liked is that one time during our training is where you randomly put lines on the market. And I know you don't suggest everybody do this, but you just prove to say that you can trade off of these lines no matter where they're at. And the market reacts to them for whatever reason they do. And you just have to pick the right ones. But you can see this pattern repeats itself over and over and over and over again.
Pretty amazing. It doesn't matter where. I've even showed you support, the support and resistance traders, that if you scrunch a chart all the way up and then you hit these horizontal lines all the way down and refresh the chart, that you're going to find support and resistance everywhere on the chart.
Right. Just with random lines. Right.
It's just random line, and you're going to find touches up and down on all of these charts, no matter where. And the traders you're watching, and all you have to do is scrunch up the chart where your line is going all the way across, all the candle lines going straight across your screen, and then take the horizontal toolbar and then just snap these lines all the way down through price, as many as you can go, and then hit your refresh screen, and you're going to find touches throughout. So therefore, I'm not a support and resistance trader, and I don't believe in that, because that's the simple fact is what's good and what's not, what's powerful, and no matter where, if price goes up and down from the minute chart to the daily chart, of course you're going to have support and resistance because price is going up and down. If price was just going sideways, well, then we would have to draw a vertical line. and then you'd have bounces off the vertical line. So it's just a term, but it doesn't teach you how to trade. And I want to make this very clear is a strategy name or a breakout or a fake out or support and resistance. I trade support and resistance, or I trade breakouts, or I trade all of these. I trade trends. I trade moving averages. With what you know today and from my mentorship today, I don't use words. Am I actually showing you, teaching you how to trade? And it's not a specific name. Go
No,
ahead.
it's almost like you don't teach things and say this is you teach your way of trading, but there's really no name to it. I mean, it doesn't fit into any category that I've all the things that I've read out there as far as the different strategies that I've looked at. There's similarities. There's some similarities in some areas and different stuff, but it's not, but I think there's a random versus just being what that you've taken it from somewhere else, or just things that you've noticed in the market and how the market reacts, and then you've taken that and developed your strategy. Like other mentees that I've talked to or I've seen, it's like you crack the code and you can see what the market's doing and what it's going to do, or what the probability of it's going to do. But as far as you teaching specifically how to trade, yeah, you point out this is where is a good time start looking for, to get in the market because it looks like it's going to go this way. And once, and it does, and it repeats it. That happens over and over again. And you teach that. How do we find those? It's just they're there. I don't know. I don't know. It's just like you say. You can't say that Rich trades and use another generic term from all the different trading strategies out there. This is your way of trading. It's unique to you.
I'm glad you're making some progress, and I don't want to hold your feet to the fire of how fast you're going to progress or anything else like that. But I strongly believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I strongly believe that if you're handed a set of tools over a period of time, you're going to know how to hang a door or fix a pipe or change a faucet. And I believe it's the same thing for trading. So uh, if I can learn how to paint, I might not become an artist one day, but if someone teaches you how to draw, right? And I would
Mhm.
think about this as far as trading, is we draw also. And if someone teaches you how to draw, over a period of time, you're not going to even have to really think about it,
Right.
correct?
Right.
So if that's the case, then we move on because I have several different gems and conditions in the market that need to happen, from
Right.
left to right. And if you're on the left side and you move one step to the right, and then another step to the right, another step to the right, and now you're in the middle. Over a period of time, you're going to get to the end. It's really hard for me to believe someone would not get to the end unless they just weren't practicing, correct?
No, I think, and that's what I think I try to understand when you preach. It's the skill, it's the skill, it's the skill, and that I think you teach that. And tell me if I'm wrong, but it's like because the skill, once you learn it, it's not rocket science. This is not as complicated as actually even playing a guitar, or as complicated as becoming an air traffic controller or something like that. It's something that, because it's not something you do with your hands. It's not something you're doing. It's like you just seeing and you're doing. And it's like it's just right in front of you.
Learn behavior.
It's learned behavior, and it's a skill that anybody can learn. I think I've always felt like the biggest holdback for most people trading is their emotions and the FOMO, and the fear that comes with trading is the biggest thing. And that's, I think, what I have always been attracted to is trying to corral or control those emotions, those excitement, or the doldrums when you don't do well, or the highs you get when you do well. It's like you got to be able to get to where you keep those emotions even kill so you can make good quality decisions.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head. That was a good statement. Is basically get yourself to a period of time to where you're not thinking and you're making good quality decisions. And that's where I keep saying about the highest probability of a trade is not guessing. It's a methodical approach to get to that highest probability, and then we execute fearlessly. And the fearlessly comes from knowledge that we've gained and repeated. When we go back and remind ourselves over and over and over and over again what typically happens after X, Y, and Z, ABC, what happens next? And if we go over back in history and keep finding that, and it's hard. How can we not convince ourselves? We don't have to convince ourselves. If you're seeing it and you're seeing the red car every day, and you're seeing the red car every day, all of a sudden you walk out and there's a yellow car, same style of car, you're going to give pause going, wait a minute, where's the red car, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually, I just think it's a simple way to learn how to trade, but you have to have the right education, the right
Yeah.
mentorship, whether it be from he or she or wherever. I believe in if somebody has a true edge in the market, that they're able to navigate and show you the reasons why this happened. Because you can ask me a question, any question, and I don't say, do I ever say it's going to take time over a period of time and, my opinion, or do I actually show you, something that's objective as to why or why not this happens? Does that make sense? A lot of people say you need 10 years. It's easier for me to teach
Oh,
someone with no experience.
right.
It really is.
I feel like I have more to unlearn than I have to learn because there's a lot of I've studied this for a lot of years, and I think I think I have to unlearn a lot of stuff, and I think being patient and going through it's different because back testing is when you go back and you're trying to see, oh, I could take this trade, I could make this kind of money. You're always focused on the money. You're always focused on what you can make. And it's like coulda, woulda, shoulda. Whereas when you're telling to look at history, you're just trying to say, look at the history so that you can identify the places in the market where there's a high probability of getting in the market and just see the signs. Look for the signs. We don't really care. We did, yeah, it goes up, but focus on the signs, focus on the road signs, because if you're only focused on the money, you get distracted on the road signs, and you get, if your emotion gets involved in it, then you forget the road signs and you start hoping and wishing, and then you end up making bad decisions. And it's not going back and go, oh, I could have done this, I could have done this. It's like, oh yeah, the market's doing this, oh, the market did. But you're looking for the signs, you're looking for the specific information that you teach, so that then you get good at doing that, then you can take your trades, and if you make money, you make money. That obviously that's what we all want to do, but it's like that's why I think you say focus on look at the history and why the market moves the way it moves, and you teach that, and then that the success will follow. But focus on the skill, focus on the things that you're teaching, and get good at that so that you can be calm, you can make good decisions. And when you can do that, then you can be consistent at being a consistently successful trader.
And it's not about the size, like people say, well, you have to get used to, and I'm just using lingo, you have to get used to sizing in. You have to get used to, I know if you're not used to sizing in, then your emotions come out in play.
Right,
I mean, through my teaching, I'm disputing all that because
right,
it doesn't matter what
right,
size you use.
right,
Joe, you've seen me trade and you
right.
saw my trades yesterday, right? Do you think if I got 300,000, $300,000 accounts, do you think these firms would pay me copy trading on $300,000 accounts the way I navigate through the market? I mean, I don't get those because they're going to say, no, we ain't paying you that
Mm-hmm.
because it's not how much you make or how much size you have. It's whether you have a skill or not.
I think with anything, it's like whether you're playing in the NBA or not, it's like you're playing for higher stakes, and you're like, oh wow, I'd be so nervous. It'd be like, Michael Jordan got to the point where he wasn't nervous. He liked that. He liked that challenge, and I think that's the same thing. It's like if you get good enough, you focus on your skill and you put the time in and you practice. And part of that is learning how to trade, whether you're trading with 10,000 in your account, 5,000 in your account, or a million in your account. It's if you focus on the why you're doing what you're doing, it really shouldn't matter. If it does matter, then you're doing something wrong.
Or you haven't basically, or you haven't reached a level to trade
Right.
effectively.
Exactly.
Because objective trading Not subjective. Objective trading, it releases everything. What you see is what you get. So if you've done your homework from A to Z, and I wouldn't call this rules based. I'm teaching you how to navigate. It's not like this
Right.
is rule because the market's changing, but the market doesn't change in a sense where people create that the reason my strategy isn't working and I had to switch is because the market's changing. I've disputed that. That's not true, right? So if you know how to really navigate through the market objectively, it doesn't matter what the market does, whether it goes up and down or up a little bit and then down a lot or up a lot and then down a lot or a little bit. It doesn't matter because if price goes up and down, I am teaching how to trade objectively and we wait and we do certain things from left to right. And then we understand based on history, not our opinion, but based on history, when the highest probability trade is.
And I think also it's the highest probability area to trade, and you teach different ways to get in the market because every time that even though that area of high probability is there, it's going to manifest itself in a different way. And it's not just one specific thing we're looking for. If it manifests itself this way, then okay, it's okay to get in the market. If it decides to do this, then and this happens, then it's okay to get in the market. If it does this and this and this, then oh, it's okay to get in the market. It's not just a 1 + 1 = 2 and you have to see this exact thing every single time, otherwise you don't take it. No, there's different ways the market moves, and you teach those different ways that we're like you say, we're watching the market, and when certain things happen, it doesn't have to be every one of these things. It could be this thing, it could be this one, it could be here, it could do this, and that's the difference, is that you don't feel like you're handcuffed to some 1 + 1 = 2 type mentality. You're just looking at the market and you're looking for different things. And sometimes it might say, now's the time to get in based on this, but other times it'll be something different. It's not going to be the same thing every time, but you give us different ways of entering the market because it doesn't react exactly the same in that it gives the signal to get in, but it's in the same, it gives you, it will give one of those signals in this area. And that's what we're looking for. We're not just looking for one signal. We're looking for in this area for the criteria in which to get in. And that can vary based on each trade.
So it's knowledge base. It's
Yes,
knowledge.
it's not, you're
It's not
watching the
guessing.
market. Right.
It's not guessing or an opinion. And if it doesn't exist, it's not there. And how many times have I said that? If it doesn't exist, it's not there, and we don't pretend it's there. It doesn't exist at this point in time. And on a lower
Right.
time frame, it'll repeat itself. But and on higher time frames, it does also.
It takes forever. It takes months and months and years sometimes to wait for it to happen.
Yeah, I don't teach you a top-down analysis, do I? Do I teach you top-down analysis?
No.
Okay.
Actually, once you've taught what you taught me, top-down analysis doesn't make any sense.
It's hard to explain that, and people are probably
Because it
screaming.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you're trading on the
Exactly.
minute charts, you don't really care what's going on the hourly charts. Now, you're trading something very specific. You could make money. The market in the hourly is going up, and you're making money on the day on the minute going down. It doesn't matter because the setup is there.
And the higher you go, so and I'm teaching you on the lower time frame, so everything above a minute is probably going to get really boring for you.
Well, even like you told me, well, the minute's boring. And then, I've traded a minute before and it drove me crazy. I can't do this. So I just said, I can't do that. But now that I watch you, I have sat there and watched it and say, okay, let me see what can go on. You say, well, initially you probably shouldn't be watching because you need to just do the history stuff and to learn how to, but I've watched it and it's like, it's boring. It does get boring.
Yeah,
Even on
just
the minute.
on a minute. Yes, it gets boring because you know things present themselves throughout the day,
Exactly.
and overnight and like that. So if there's anything else you would like to talk about, or any predictions that you want to make without putting yourself? Is there anything you would like to discuss?
The only thing that my sense taken when I first learned what you taught me, I couldn't sleep at night because you know how your mind starts going, oh my gosh,
Uh,
this is I
uh,
found I
Chips.
found the money tree or whatever it is you want to call it. I found something that's going to really work. But that gets you back in the same mindset, the old mindset of rushing to do stuff, rushing to trade, rushing to get into it. And what you've been telling me is to be patient, relax, take your time, develop the skill first. Don't be trying to trade as much as it's going on, because that's not what you need right now. You need to go back and really learn the skill and have that visualization so that it's in your mind and you're prepared to do that. And so I've actually taken a step back and said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And I feel like that those feelings of getting too excited and getting too down when you win or lose, or especially getting excited now that I've learned what you taught me, I don't want to rush out there and feel like I'm missing out on something, or rush out there and make bad decisions and then lose my confidence. I want to just learn what I need to learn, be patient, knowing that, hey, it's going to happen. And that's I guess what I wanted to get to, is that I believe that it's going to happen and
I
that I will
believe
become successful.
it will
I
happen.
have no doubt.
I have no doubt either. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And you know what's interesting is, if you don't mind me saying this, is after your thing, and you're not alone. First of all, you're not alone.
Oh, yeah.
All the mentees are just like, I'm going right to the market. I'm like, whoa, 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 no, 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 or some of them will disappear and they'll come back and they'll show me, their winnings and stuff like that. I'm like, listen, you got to get back. So, but you had mentioned, if you don't mind me bringing up, is that you were talking about platforms, and you wanted to get up to all these different platforms, and I need to figure out what I want to trade and all of these
Right,
things.
right.
We're actually, and this is a good thing because we're going to talk about platforms and the mentorship and stuff like that. But personally, and to everyone out there watching, is that I cannot suggest what's best for someone else. And you're not asking me what's best for you, but I can't say what's best because all individuals are differently, whether you trade futures or indices or stocks or options, whatever the case may be, because I'm teaching you a skill that is used across any chart that is tradable. Okay.
Right.
So this skill, whether you trade options, you got to still look at a chart to trade options. Whether you trade Forex, whether you invest yourself, you're going to see the entire market in an objective way. And that is a skill. That is a skill set. The only thing about the skill set, and it's like anywhere else, when we go to work, we get rewarded because we have a skill, we have college degree, we have whatever it is, accounting, medical, we have a surgeon. That is a skill, and over a period of time, after so many surgeries, they're going to get better and better and not have to think about exactly what they're going to do. Their mind is just going to do things, and when an emergency happens, they're not like, oh, what do I do now? It's like immediate. And that's the same as trading. So therefore, why can't someone teach an objective strategy, and over a period of time, if someone truly practices and that doesn't mean practice 10 hours a day, practice when you have time and it's quiet, put some music on and just point and shoot and do all these things in the market and go back in history and confirm and confirm and confirm, because this is mental visualization, and it only works if you're practicing the right things to learn an objective way to trade. But you had just mentioned, I want all these different platforms. What platform should I get to and stuff like that? And that's where we had this conversation of, let's go back, or let's concentrate on a still
Yeah.
chart to
Mhm.
get that memory. You must have eye memory. And I say this a lot, is that unfortunately traders, if they're gambling, they don't want to admit that they're gambling because they see a market and they did something that works. Unfortunately, I say if I look at someone's trade, if there was a trader that posted one of their trades on the internet, are you confident that I would know whether or not they should be in that market or not based on what I'm
Oh,
teaching?
yeah. No
I
doubt.
would know instantly. I hate it.
Right.
It's like I can't unsee it. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone, but I've studied the market and I understand the market completely. So I cannot just look at a trade and say, oh, that was good. Now I have said, oh, that's a good trade. But whether they truly understand that, because I see some windfall trades on there that say this is my best trade ever. and they were on the wrong side of the market and they shouldn't have been in that trade. Now, with with that mindset is if you take an individual that just started trading and they had their best trade of their life, they're going to continue. This is what I'm trying to get at. I'm proud that they got the money. But what I'm getting at is now you take that same individual and they start practicing something that doesn't work over a period of
Long
time,
time, exactly.
long time. And now they never make it. And they think, what is wrong with me? This person over here can make it. This person over here is making it. Well, is there cash? Is there cash flow coming in? My philosophy is the least amount of money you have, the better skill you need. The more money you have, the less skill you need. You can dump money in the stock market on buy dips, okay, and make money. And you don't need to have a great skill to make money over a period of time if you have a lot of money. So seeing traders take, gamble and then they hit their biggest trade ever, that's not going to get out of their mind and they're going to continue to practice the wrong thing. How do you feel about that?
No, I think what came to my mind when you gave that example of somebody who had their best trade they've ever had, but they were doing it in the wrong way from what you've learned, is that's probably the worst thing that could happen to them because they think, oh, I know it's right. I'm going to do that, and that doing that is actually going to probably cause them to have their account wiped out, and they don't know it. And I don't. I mean, I've been there. I've done that. I've done it on demo accounts and different accounts. But learning, being successful at something, but doing it the wrong way is actually counterproductive, and actually is almost like a anchor to your being successful as a trader. And I've learned that myself. And that's kind of what got me over the years saying, I need more education. I finally need to break down and find somebody that I can listen to, talk to buy a course, do something to help focus what I'm trying to do. Because, you gotta know what you're doing. The problem is with trading is there's just so many people out there trying to tell you how to trade. You don't know who to go to that actually knows what they're doing. So it makes it difficult to know who to trust with your money, with your time, and who to teach you.
And all of the stuff you see on the internet, I don't hand you a book or a video. I don't have a game plan that I'm going off of. And I explain this, and the reason why is because I know how to trade. And I don't need to, I can teach. I am actually teaching a skill. I'm actually teaching somebody, an example, how to drive a vehicle, how to stop, how to use the brake, and all of this stuff. So I don't have to study for the next person that I mentor or a next session. And I can go on the fly. You're going to have different
But
questions.
that's a good analogy of driving a car. You don't really there's no you can read a manual like if you want to go forward, you push the gas down. If you want to stop, you hit the brake. But you really teach someone how to drive a car. There's no manual you can go study or what video. You can watch all the videos you want on driving a car. You don't really learn how to drive a car until you get behind the wheel and you start doing it. And you have somebody sitting next to you telling, showing you what to do and what to anticipate as far as you come to a stop sign. If you want to make a right hand turn, you want to make a left hand turn, what you might by watching out for other people around you. That analogy is that you got to be in there. There's no book that's going to tell you how to do it until you're doing it. And that's what you teach. You're teaching, you're the guy in the passenger seat trying to teach that person how to drive that car.
And we're using charts after charts after charts.
Right,
We're
right.
always in the chart.
And that's the roadmap. Those the roadmap to where what we were trying to teach us. But as far as me watching a video and doing all this stuff and having all this book work, that does not necessarily help me learn how to drive this car or learn how to trade. Trading with somebody who knows what they're doing can give you the road signs of when to get in the market, when to not be in the market, what the market's doing here, what the market's doing here, and know how to read that and see objectively what's happening. And once you start seeing that, it's different. And that's what I was worried initially because I'm like, I want to write down everything you say. I want to. Where can you give me a video? Can you give me a video on this and this and that? You're like, hey, just be patient. You don't need it. I'm going to show you what you need to do. And it was hard for me to trust that, to be honest with you. I was a little like, oh, I don't know.
Well, that's
I
normal.
really want
I
to.
take notes, you said. I normally take notes. I said,
I know. I'm writing everything down. I'm like, slow down on the
yeah.
video. If I was watching a video and you were doing an interview, I would slow it down, go back and make sure and listen to it again and write it down again. But no, but I feel better about it now because what you're saying is true, and the analogy of learning how to drive a car is accurate. You
And when
need
I show
somebody,
you, and when I tell you something on one chart, it's repeatable
right,
on anything. So
right.
it's
Like
not
I can
something.
drive in St. Louis, I can drive in St. Louis, and I can drive in Jacksonville, Florida, or in Washington D.C. I can this the road signs are still there, and you know what, you know how to drive, you know how to navigate that area.
So the names don't. So the names do not matter, and the color
It
of the
doesn't
names
matter.
do not matter
Exactly.
over a period of time. And so if it's moving, it's tradable. Would you
Right.
agree with that? If something's moving, it's tradable. Okay. So whether it's be the holidays, whether it be a Monday or a Friday or Wednesday, people, and this is why I said also. Is that journaling? This is another thing that I really, and I'm trying to get back to the trading community because there are a lot of people losing a whole lot of money, and they're gambling. I mean, that's what it is they're gambling because they haven't been taught how to navigate. But journaling, it's the same thing as a windfall trade. If you're journaling the wrong thing, just look at your trade and figure out what you did right or figure out why it worked, but you have no idea why it worked.
Right.
It could be by accident it worked. And now all of a sudden you're explaining as to why you lost, you know. I rushed into it, I had FOMO, and we start to come up with excuses to make ourselves feel better. And I don't, when I speak with you and I write to you and I do these things, I do these things to help you to see the light and to go
Right.
back and find it. Verify, verify, verify. And once you keep verifying it, you cannot unsee it. And then it keeps appearing, and you're like, this is crazy. How does this keep happening? You know?
No,
Why?
no, no. It's
And then you
amazing.
figure out that you're right. Rich is right. This shit's manipulated. This shit's on
Well,
a program, right?
there's that is definitely one explanation that makes sense. I mean, we all don't know for sure, but it's like it does see it. It seems more likely that it's manipulated than it's just a random movement of the market. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, we can, is there anything else you'd like to say to any new traders or traders struggling or what has helped you not to give up type thing? Whatever comes to
Well, my
mind.
whole life, not giving up. Whether it was becoming an air traffic controller, learning how to play the guitar, I had to teach myself how to sing. I had to. I'm in a house that I bought. I retired and I bought 70 acres, and I bought an old farmhouse I have to redo, and I have to stay busy myself. I'm learning how to do it myself. I take my time, but I've always learned that if you just take a deep breath when you get frustrated, just you will learn better when you're calm. If you're emotion, don't make decisions when you're emotional. You can, if you just focus on what you're doing and you stick to it, you can figure out how to make things work. And there's no reason why I won't work with trading. And so, but the key thing is if you find somebody who knows what they're doing, who's good at what they do, you need to gravitate towards that to get the information to help um, the learning curve be sharpened to a point to where, like you said, it doesn't take a year or two or three. It takes, once you show me, it's like, I don't think it's going to take that long to get to where I want to go. So,
Well said, well said. So do I say anything about opinions? It's my opinion or it's a hunch or intuition. You're learning basically in the final thought of that this is and how I describe it is truly objective trading.
well,
It's
it's more a matter of fact. It's like,
fact.
this is how the market moves, and this is what we're looking for. And you don't see these things, then we don't trade. And it's just this is how the market moves. This is how the market breathes. And my biggest problem is I start seeing so many things. And you said, and you one of the things you taught me is that you got to let the market have room to breathe, let it happen. And then and that I got to work on that. That's probably the biggest thing I have to overcome is that I will jump the gun or I will see things that aren't really necessarily there. And so, but you don't, it's a matter of fact. It's like, this is what's going on. This is how the market moves. I don't know why, but this is how it works. And I don't know how else to tell you other than this is how it works. And then once I can go back and see what you say, I can see it repeat itself over and over and over again. I know that what you're telling me is true.
And you have confidence that it will
Oh,
appear again.
definitely, definitely builds confidence that this for the first time. I have confidence that I know I've always believed I could figure this out on my own. I'm glad that I found you because now I know even more that I can do this, that I'll be able to figure out how to crack this nut and make it work.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you, Joe, for your time. And
No
I'm sure
problem.
all the traders out there will appreciate this. And you said a lot of things inside this video that you could watch at any time. And you will see your own progress from this video and your train of thought, where you're at and what you need to work on. Because without holding ourselves accountable, and this is one way is on a video to hold ourselves accountable. You're going to grow each and every day. And I'm happy that you came over to allow me to mentor you, and I'm here for you, and I believe in you. And one thing I'd like to say is that when somebody invests money into another person, they should invest back into that person. It's not about the money. I'm not here for the money, and I have something special. I believe it's special. That I've came up with and over my experiences in the market. And I wanted to pass it on to the community. And I'm really glad that you're here.
I'm
Thank
glad
you.
to be here too, and I think that anybody who wants this type of information or any information in life, you have to be willing to pay for it. You have to be willing to um, pay the price that's necessary to get to where you want to go. And sometimes that takes, sacrifice to be able to get the information that you need. And I'm a very cautious person. I'm very conservative. I don't just throw money down to go in a direction or just to do something willy-nilly. And so when I made this decision to get on board with Breathing with the Markets and get on with Rich, it was something that I put a lot of time, a lot of effort, developed a relationship with Rich, and I'm very happy with my decision, that I found the place that I needed to be to get the information I need to be successful as a trader in whatever market I decide to trade in.
Yeah, we even had dinner, huh, when you came down to visit
We did.
your
I took you out to
family.
dinner.
So, but thank you, Joe.
No
And
problem.
if anyone out there wants to learn how to trade objectively, go to breathingwiththemarkets.com. Peace to all. Thank you.